Welcome back, folks. Cape Rugby TV. We wrap it up now. This is our final segment, and we're extremely happy to say that Faizel Felton from Western Province Rugby has joined us in studio for our last segment of our last episode in the last week for 2021. Faizel, welcome back to the studio.
Yes, good evening, JP. Good evening, listeners. Always good to be back.
Thanks for taking the time to come and join us. We know that you guys are currently on a break. And it's great to see you in studio with us on this final episode. Faizel, obvious picture here is the fact that if we go back to 2021, we look back at 2020, you guys took so many lessons from 2020 to make it work in 2021. A lot of interesting dynamics. The sports management space has changed completely.
No, definitely. I think, as you said, we've learned a lot. We've come a long way. I think it's always about adapting and trying to, with the viruses here, it's about living, basically adapting, with the virus around us. And I think with the lessons that I've learned, I'm quite excited and looking forward to 2022. I think, we've learned a lot, and I think come 2022, definitely a season, it looks possible.
Faizel, so if we look back at 2021, I keep getting these 2020, 21, 2022 years mixed up. But if we look back at the year itself, a lot of highlights, and you did this in the absence of having a league. I know you guys always wanted the league to start. Of course, these things are out of your control. But if we go back to 2020, at the end of the year, you saw this real uptake in the growth of the women's rugby. And we, of course, also saw that the same women then came through the ranks to come and play in the interprovincials. I mean, you guys must be, then you went on to play unbeaten and into the finals. That was one of your first successes of the year.
No, definitely, JP. I think, one of the positives of COVID has been the focus from our side in terms of on the ladies. It's given us a lot more time to focus on the ladies. We've seen a lot of, a lot of youngsters, a lot of ladies coming through. And I think the one positive thing is, in terms of planning and preparation and support, it's been great. It's been phenomenal. The success in terms of where the ladies finished off. It's unfortunate that last hurdle we couldn't pull it through, but it's something that we can work for towards 2022. And I think it's also given us now a platform in which we can work now towards, trying to gain that women's provincial trophy. So definitely from a women's perspective, the one great thing is the focus and attention in terms of the needs of the ladies has been a lot more. We've been out there. We've taken note in terms of what needs to happen. So that's one of the great things.
Is it the building phase? I mean, if we look at the women's side of things now, and we look at the high performance element that you have been working on. And I know that you recently finished the high performance coaching for women's course, I think last week, in fact. Do these dots all connect? Your YTC program, your women's regional champions that you put on the cards this year? I mean, it all seems to line up.
No, definitely. As I said earlier, it gave us more time to focus on the ladies. But the one key thing is, I think we've had, the support of the ladies. It's just a matter of everything coming together. And I think this time has allowed us the opportunity to bring all these different components together. Like you mentioned, the YTC, I was quite excited being out and being able to be out there at the YTC training festivals to see the amount of talent that we have. And I think the one key thing now is just about how do we nurture, how do we bring those players through, how do we get them into the senior setup, how do we monitor them. I think, previously, we worked, wouldn't say we worked in silos, but I think previously it's a matter of, the experience and the depth and the talent is there to now bringing everything together. And, I wouldn't say thank God for COVID, but thank, for the opportunity where we had time to focus more on the ladies, which has helped us a lot.
If we now shift the attention away from women's rugby, of course, the club rugby itself, you continued the building of education at club level as well. From a club perspective, going from 2020 into 21, the media marketing and sponsorship workshop seems to have been a big hit for the club structures.
No, definitely. I think as the ladies, we've learned a lot. I think it's given us time to look at, off the field, trying to focus on, marketing, how to build a club. I think, the next year is going to be challenging, but I think, the support that we have from the clubs and the administrators that's out there, the focus is now you need to look at new ways or, think out of the box in terms of how we're going to get out, how we're going to market the club, how we're going to get sponsorship, how we're going to look at, increasing the numbers. So the virtual meetings that we have been fantastic, and it's definitely something that will be continuing. The support and, the attendance of these workshops has been also great. So definitely there is a need, and definitely it's something that needs to continue.
You talk about doing things in a difficult time, and you mention the word community in the same sentence almost. Yeah. You must be very proud of the fact that club rugby, club communities, club membership really rose to the occasion in the last 2 years. I mean, I actually almost get emotional about this, thinking about just what was shown to be done, how clubs lent a hand to each other. They looked after their players, they looked after their communities, they continued with outreach projects. It just went to show that rugby, especially club rugby, is far more than just playing a game on a Saturday.
No, definitely, JP. I think where we started off in 2020, where we had United Ways on board, dishing out the food parcels within the communities, helping and assisting. And I think that's one of the great things and fortunate things that we have here in Western Province is the support of our communities and our clubs. And I think from Western Province's side, I would say we're nothing without our communities and without our clubs and the support that we have. I mean, even Sevens, calling upon certain club officials to come and assist, it doesn't, you don't have to ask twice. They're always there, they're always willing, they're always keen. If there's anything that we need help in the communities, the guys are there. So the one thing is the guys are on call, they're waiting for rugby to start, they're waiting for communities. Anybody needs help, they are always there, willing, keen and readily available. So that's fantastic.
You mentioned the Sevens, of course, that was of course the big highlight again. I mean, you lost out last year that you were unable to do a Sevens, but you pulled it off again this year, playing in 3 different venues. You also made the debut for women's rugby in the Sevens, and you got the clubs to the finals. And you managed to do that, in addition to that, you managed to do that with a 5.5-hour simulcast broadcast on live stream and on TV. I mean, these are things that have never been done before.
No, definitely. And again, the one thing again is our community and our clubs. And I think what the virus has taught us is the responsibility and accountability that each person needs to play. And I think from the union sides, we've put a bit of structure together. And the great thing is the clubs have come together, the players have come together. Everybody's accountable, everybody's responsible. And I think what we showed with the Sevens is that anything is possible. And, together, clubs, community, we will have a season, I think, in 2022. I'm quite positive, optimistic, I think.
Well, I was going to say don't answer that question because that was going to be my next question, and I think it's an unfair question to ask anybody. Is, are you going to do something next month or 2 months or 6 months' time? Because the world is in that space of you don't know. You can plan for the best, but expect the unexpected. It's unfair for us to ask you that question, but let's assume we are having a season next year. It's of course now in a space that you are ready to knock the ball out of the park. All the clubs that we've spoken to, when we ask them what are your plans for 2022, the single words that come from the clubs is they say they're going to have the best season that they've ever had. If you look at what you did this year, you look at what you did last year, and you look at the communication systems, you look at your social media systems, you look at your supporters structures that you have had, for example, through Score Energy Drinks and CTC Sports and United Way, Six Gun, you've got a couple of structures. With all of these things that you've got in place and the ability to communicate with your digital, surely next year can be a fantastic year.
No, definitely, JP. I think it's going to be even bigger and better. I think the one thing that we learned, and I think I said it again with Sevens, is in terms of how keen and willingness we are to adapt. And the key thing is the focus for us at the moment and priority is rugby on the field. And I think it's about the players getting back out there, communities getting a lot, getting out there, getting some fresh air. It's not about winning. I think the key and focus for us is the playing of the aspect. The next component is going to be spectators and how we get them back. Survival of the clubs. How do we financially manage, without having gate takings? And I think one of the avenues that we've been pushing this year, which worked very well, a lot of the clubs have received funding, is the lotto. Yeah. And clubs need to understand the importance of the lotto. So yes, we're not going to have gate takings, but the one thing is, I can tell you now, is looking at sevens, it is possible to have rugby still being played. The question is going to be, how do we incorporate, how do we bring spectators back? And that's going to be a bit of a challenge. But from a rugby component, I think definitely 2022 is going to be a big year. I think from a club perspective, we've got to be optimistic, we've got to be positive. The virus is here, it's not going anywhere, and I think it's just a matter of how do we adapt, how do we make it work? And with the clubs and with the support that we have, I definitely think it's possible. Very confident.
Faizel, I think we will leave it there. To you and the team at Western Province, we know that it's been tough times on multiple levels, and we just say to you guys, have a good break. We will obviously keep talking club rugby. We'll be back next week, in fact, and keep talking club rugby. We know that the under-20s will be back, and the Stormers and the Western Province Currie Cup side. So it's still behind the scenes, hands full, busy job.
No, definitely, and I think from our side as well, we want to say thank you to you, Cape Rugby, yourself, Renzel, for all the hard work and the time that you guys always put in, and the willingness and keenness, to put club rugby out there. I think, we've come a long way. I think it's been 11 years since, the production when we started, and I think no other, province can, give testament to what we've achieved over the number of years and that there. And I think again, it's through community, through our clubs, through the support that we have from everybody. And I think come 2022, it's going to be a big year. I think we can only build on where we've come from. And from our side, we're looking forward, to 2022. And we want to wish everybody out there, Happy New Year. And 2022, it's going to be prosperous and that there.
We're looking forward to that. Well, Faizel, thank you very much. Right, folks, there we go. It is, of course, our last show for the year of 2021. A difficult year for everybody. But it's been, again, a fantastic year for Cape Rugby TV. We were able to speak to our clubs. We were able to keep you connected. And that's, of course, what Cape Rugby TV does here on Cape Town TV. On DSTV channel 263, of course, you can tell your friends. But, folks, yes, that is a wrap from us. And we will say to you, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for joining us every week. Difficult year for everybody, but nevertheless also a fantastic year with lots of milestones and lots of successes. We will see you again next week. And as we always say, have a fantastic rugby weekend.